This week in ITFC history. My name is David Diamond and I will be here each and every week with none other than the Renegade Statman to discuss the names, the games, the wins, the draws and the losses that occurred this week in ITFC history. Stat, second season.
I can't believe we're back. Well, we're not back because...
Where's it gone?
Well, I'm looking out the window now and the skies are getting darker and it will soon be leaving football at 5 o'clock in the dark.
Oh, I hate that. I hate that. Yeah, it's almost like so autumn's coming. X Factor and Strictly Come Dancing's back on the TV.
Strictly Come Dancing, yeah. Stacey, somebody is on it this year.
Stacey Lattershaw jumped up. No, you wouldn't know that one.
Yeah, I don't know who she is. But no, I don't really watch those things. But yeah, that sort of TV where you kind of watch and thinking, oh, it's so dull. Everything's dark. But, you know, listen, I'm looking out the window, Dave. It's light.
Let's talk
about the here and now.
It's a good another half hour left. However, this year, for the very first time, this season, and tonight, for the very first time, people can see us, which begs the question, where's the stat machine? I think people are expecting some sort of second-hand DeLorean or something like that. Is that in the garage, isn't it? Go on.
I thought you had it.
No, we haven't left Otley, have we?
No, I don't know. I think it will appear at some point. The biggest giveaway, because obviously last year we had it in the pod bunker. Yeah, and did. Remember, I had was able to get hold of some of the old Ipswich Town memorabilia. So I used to turn up wearing different kits. Or remember, I had Terry Butcher's headband and stuff like that.
Dressing up book.
Yeah, that's not going to come out this year, I reckon.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so the most I've done is
no.
worn an Ipswich cap.
Oh, okay. Well, that's close. That's close. Anyway, Stat, we digress. You haven't had your dinner yet, clearly, because you never had it when we used to chug out to Otley.
So Stat doesn't do it until about 9 o'clock.
Where are we going to start?
Right, so we're going to start. So it's the 29th of August to the 4th of September are the games that the period that we're going to look at the games this year. So we're going to start off, and I want to put this first game into context, right? So we were top of the league. Mm-hmm. We'd won our first 5 matches, of which 2 were League Cup matches.
What?
And the manager in the dugout was Mick McCarthy. Now, I don't know about you, but my brain's struggling to commute. He wasn't that good, was he?
Hang on. This was only like 2-3 seasons ago, wasn't it?
It was Saturday, the 29th of August, 2015. It was a 3 p.m. kickoff. We were at home to Brighton and Hove Albion, and in the opposition manager's dugout was Mick's good mate and former Republic of Ireland teammate Chris Hughton, who I think he says is a
all-round nice guy. Chris Hughton, yeah,
proper bloke.
Yeah, I think so. What I mean, again, just my initial thought on this game is surely it was like must have been a top 2 clash. Was it certainly top 2 or 3? Because I think Brighton had a similar record.
Yeah, you always do
one.
this. You did that last season as well. That you asked me questions. Something I haven't got the notes, but I reckon
it must be. So it must be. If we, I think I did look back at this, and we'd won 3 and drawn 1, and they had exactly the same record. I think we'd scored more goals because we had one Ryan Fraser playing for us. But I know we did.
Well, interesting in this game, we had no Berra or Murphy.
Right.
Both out with injuries.
Yeah.
The town lineup. Before we get to that, we'll do the town lineup. So we had Gherkin in goal. Back 4, I think, of Emmanuel, Knudsen, Chambers and Smith.
Yeah.
Scuggless in the middle with Maitland, Niles and Fraser. Yeah. And Pittman and Sears up front, which, you know, when I read that out, that seemed like a really good team. Notable players for Brighton, I got bored. Stockdale, Rossinia, Bobby Zamora came off the bench, and there's a couple of other players that we're going to mention a bit later in the game.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah. One in particular.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
One of the things is before the game, I don't know if you remember, but there was a walking football exhibition match. That was on.
I literally love to get to the game just as I take my seat. The teams are sort of like in the huddle. I never get there, very rarely.
Yeah, no. So it was a walking football game, and I think, you know, in the first half we probably would have hoped that the players that were in the exhibition game were in the team and not the 11 that Mick had named.
Yeah.
Do you want to start?
Well, no, you crack on. I mean,
yeah. So we're
go on.
10 minutes in.
Yeah.
And it was the first goal. Josh Emmanuel, he was playing at right back, so he hadn't played many matches that season. I think he made his debut.
Yeah, at Brentford.
Yeah.
He made his debut at Brentford in that, which is the draw that felt like a lost game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
2-0 up with in the 90th minute.
Time added on, wasn't it?
And your manager's Mick McCarthy. He's going to see the game out, isn't he?
Not going to happen, is it? What also I remember about this particular game is just you went through the side is it was a Josh Emmanuel at right back, and playing directly in front of him was Maitland-Niles, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, and they were up against first Luar, who what's the phrase? Ripped them a new one, I think the phrase is.
Oh,
my goodness me.
Totally did. He's got the brilliant first name of Kazenga.
Kazenga, yeah.
And is he related to the other Luar?
I've got to say they're brothers, and you know they are. Stat, come on now.
Are they? Well, you told me about David Best and George Best.
Leon Best. That's true.
Best. Yeah,
but yeah, I think they are brothers, Stat. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
A pass caught Emmanuel out. Luar basically got his way into the box, and he fired it past Gherkin. Brilliant goal. He then followed it up with an even almost brilliant somersault.
Almost.
I think he did 9 and probably ended up near where Hollywood's was or something on Princes Street. But then he landed.
I think he ended up in Staples.
Oh, Staples. Is that still there?
Office World or whatever. Yeah, go on.
Well, yeah, he might have done. But anyway, somewhere between. Let's just say the fire station then. Let's cut it down the middle. So he landed somewhere near the fire station, but he didn't land on his feet. I can't remember whether he landed on his face or I think it was his face.
I think it was. But what I loved about that was that by the time he'd landed on his face or his back or whatever he'd landed on, all the players were up with him and just jumped on him anyway. So it was as if it was really sort of covered up. But we really know it went from it went from a 9.9 to a 7.2 probably.
Yeah,
just
I'm holding my cards up. And
didn't finish it at all.
To be honest with you, I think, even though he scored a brilliant goal, I think we had the last laugh at that point.
I think we did. I think we really did. But he was absolutely, and I know Ben hates that. He literally was unplayable for the first half.
Unplayable. It's not the first time we're going to mention that word tonight.
Yeah.
So, what you don't want to do is when you've conceded, the first goal at home in 10 minutes, you don't want to concede another one quite quickly. Second goal came 2 minutes later. There was a free kick in the half facing the Sir Bobby Robson stand. Although I have noticed, and I picked up you and Ben the other day, Sir Bobby Robson stand is kind of going back. I don't know whether people are turning into my dad, but referring to things in their old term, and people keep calling it the North stand, but it is the Sir Bobby Robson stand now. So it was in front of the Sir Bobby Robson stand. Free kicks floated over, and I can only kind of liken it to the free kick that Beckham took against us in August 2000. Comes across, catches everybody out. Thomas Hemed kind of jumps, fools Gherkin a little bit, just drops right over into the back of the net. Everybody runs.
A bit on it. Yeah.
They all run to the free kick taker, but Thomas Hemed is having
Dave Stevens. When Stevens took it, he's still he's still a Brighton regular now, and he's kicked on really well. Still, obviously part of the Brighton squad. Well, Brighton regular in the midfield in the Prem now. Yeah, he's doing really well. Good player.
So we
I think it was one of those where I think the week before, I remember we played Preston and Fraser scored that ridiculous goal. We went top because I remember this was. I'm thinking back. This was only week 2 or 3 into Blue Monday podcast evolution. Literally, it was the first season of the pod. And I remember we'd come off the back of that Preston game, gone top. Fraser had scored that ridiculous, crazy goal. Still one of my favourite Town goals of the last few years. Sort of floaty one in the top corner. And we think, Brighton top of the table, but top of the table clash. We're at home. Let's just blow them away, and off we go. And I think that was the first time, 2-0. Oh no! Oh well, it's not going to be a stroll this season.
No, I think most fans thought that we're going to go into this game, and when you're 2-0 down after 12 minutes. But to be fair, we got to half time, but still at 2-0.
Didn't Baldock miss a hell of a chance? I remember Baldock going through one-on-one and putting one. I think Gherkin came up, just put him off, and he put one inches wide to make it 3-0.
Gherkin did some sort of strange, bizarre Superman save as well. I think when he came rushing out towards the edge of the penalty area and penalty area. Sorry, that's the first time. Out to the penalty area, and he kind of done a Superman punch. But we got to half time, 2-0. Brighton were lucky, and you can take the mickey out of my spellings all you like, Dave. But I've got Uwe Hunemeyer, written down here. I don't know if you remember, he should have received a second because he absolutely, basically kicked Fraser in the face, and I don't know why the referee didn't allow that.
It was that sort of play. And to be fair to Uwe Hunemeyer, Fraser was only about that tall.
Yeah,
so it's probably like kicking most people in the, just above the knee, probably. But
unsurprisingly, he was hoiked at half time by Chris Hute, and I think he knew that his cards were marked. We made the first substitution in the game was a debut, and for me, this is when I knew things were going very badly. If you're going to spend €8,500 on a player, you're probably going to get a player who looks like he's worth €8,500. So, young Josh Emmanuel, is struggling down there, but he's learning.
Torrid time by Lua.
So on comes Piotr Malarczyk.
Oh yeah,
and I soon, probably within about 5 minutes, sussed out that he was not going to be a great star.
Albeit, I've got to say, in his defence, 2 weeks later, maybe 3 weeks later, I saw him play quite well at Old Trafford. In fact, probably, arguably, on the night, one of our better players, probably. But I know what you mean. He did look an 8.5. I suppose in that that's almost an insult. 'Cause if you come on a free, all right, you come on a free. But they perhaps should have said, "Oh, we've got him on a free." We're playing 8,500. Could have even been euros. I'm not even sure it's pound stat. Do you know what I mean?
Do you think it goes back to the old school? We'll buy him for 12 tracksuits or stuff like that.
Something like that. Bless you.
And a container so we can keep our gear in and stuff like that. That's what they bought him for. But now €8,500. He was quickly followed by David McGoldrick, and we'll come back to the other player. But yeah, so 9 minutes into the second half, Town get one back. Pittman's shot hits the far post. He does lovely work getting into the penalty area, goes across, hits the far post in front of the Sir Bobby Robson stand. And it comes back, and then Freddie Sears is there about 6 yards out. The ball comes back to him really quickly, and he's struggling to get his feet under the ball, but he does move his feet really well and sticks that in the back of the net. That's 2-1. And then we go 11 minutes later. McGoldrick, who's on as a substitute, Fraser goes down. He's taken down by Bruno.
Frank.
Yeah, okay, we'll do that. Yeah. McGoldrick steps up and sticks the penalty away, and we're like, brilliant. This is it shows how fickle we are. The first half we're thinking,
it was a great second half. It was great.
Yeah.
It was great second half. What I think we should mention also, McGoldrick, I believe, came on for Maitland-Niles, which just shows just how much Lua first half dominated that left side. I'm pretty sure he did. And at that point, 2-2. Hey, come on, here we go. Let's go and get the winner. And then sort of same thing happens again. I believe they score really quite quickly, don't they?
67 minutes. So 2 minutes later, Lua, he's on the left side of just in front of the away fans, and he just pings a lovely, what I like to call a floaty crossover, and Hemed, he gets his head to it.
Yeah, I remember discussing this, 3 years ago on the pod. Obviously, one of the first games we covered, like I said, and we did criticise Gherkin for that one, because I remember the ball as it comes across, the ball's like on the edge of the 6-yard box, and you think, and Gherkin's just pretty much static on his line. We felt that he could. But yeah, it was a good goal. I remember he sort of backheaded it. In the end, as he was static, he couldn't do anything about it. But that was a really, really good game. A really enjoyable game. But yeah, with a shape, obviously a tinge of disappointment, because we thought, I'll win this and we'll probably be 3 or 4 points clear at the top, for Christ's sake.
I think if we'd have won that, Mick would have been manager of the month for August, but we ended up going slipping from first down to third with 10 points.
I believe I'm right in saying the very next game was the 5-1 loss at Reading, so we really did realise at that point maybe we're not quite so good.
The wheels certainly fell off the cart then, but I think there was 21,034 fans there. Yeah,
decent. Yeah.
So decent. Not a bad crowd, not the 13s that sort of Mick had at the end. And I think, like you said, it came off that 2014-15 season, and we talk about January transfer window in 2015, but that's when we should have strengthened. And I think if we did, we showed that the nucleus of the team was there.
And I'm not sure he was fit. Perhaps he wasn't fit for Bournemouth then, but Actually, maybe because that was the season Bournemouth went up. Yeah, that's why he would have been playing for Bournemouth. But imagine, say that January, getting even a Fraser in that January, for Christ's sake. But I think, thinking about it, he was probably playing for Bournemouth. Yeah, or certainly in the squad, because that's the year they got promoted. Something else I read about this game and forgotten about was I think it was the very first game after that Shoreham air crash where that display. So I think Brighton players wore armbands. Maybe Town did as well. I can't remember, as a mark of respect for the.
They certainly commemorated the victory to the victims or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what
it were at the time.
Yeah.
One player I didn't mention who came on as a sub. He doesn't get mentioned very often. Giles Coke. He came on.
Did he?
Mm.
Yeah,
let's move on.
Yeah.
So let's go to game 2.
Where are we, Stat?
Well, it's the 30th of August, 1994. It's a Tuesday night.
Right.
7:45 kickoff.
Yeah.
John Lyle is manager, but Mick McGivern is in the dugout. See, that always worries me, because I think from a pure statistician's point of view that we kind of count those games as John Lyle games. But I don't know how much influence he did have over Mick McGivern back then, because the style of football.
It's a real odd one. He sort of moved, sort of upstairs. No, he didn't. Took a little bit of a sideways step, but also on the coaching side, was that not around about the time we had Goddard and Johnny Walk on the coaching? Sort of became coaches and stuff, didn't they?
Yeah, because they took over when Lyle was sacked later that year.
Yeah. That was. I mean, this was the start of. Well, not arguably. I mean, I don't need to say it to you. Statistically, probably the second worst season, certainly in the top in our whole history, wasn't it? After 63, 64, must have been.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were mentioning 2018-19.
Stop it.
It's only August, people. Stop
only August.
Relegation.
I remember I did preface that with the top, second worst season of the top division, for goodness sake.
Yeah. In the opposition dugout was Ozzy Ardiles, and he was bringing his Tottenham Hotspur to Portman Road. I'll go through the Town team quickly. Forrest in goal, Yallop, Linnigan, Walk and Stockwell, Slater, Williams, Milton and Mason, and that deadly duo of Chris Kawamia and Boncho Genchev up front. But I think Tottenham might say that their strikers were slightly better than ours.
Well, let me just quickly about Spurs. They had, I think, they were coming off the back of that season, close season. They were given a 12-point penalty and a whacking great fine for some financial issues they had a few years before, I think. And I think, obviously, we know their owner at the time was Lord Sugar, Alan Sugar, who I think challenged it and won. And also I think they had an FA Cup ban as well. They were banned from the FA Cup. I mean, now they'd probably take that as a favour, wouldn't they? So that was overturned, and I think Ardiles. I think that was just about overturned then. But Ardiles just sort of took the initiative straight off and thought, right, sod everyone, I'm going to play 5 up front, effectively.
And this was a team. He had Ian Walker in goal, David Kerslake, obviously a former Town player, Sol Campbell, Justin Edinburgh, Colin Calderwood, Stuart Nethercott, and then people talk about the front 5. They had Darren Anderton, Nick Barmby, Illy Dumitrescu, Teddy Sheringham, and some guy called Jurgen Klinsmann as well.
I mean, it was just mental. I mean, it was. I remember the first half of that game, and it was just defence against attack. And at half time, it could have been 6 or 7 easily. But anyway, go on. You go through them.
I watched the highlights last night, but we just come off a 2-1 away win at QPR, which was our first win of the season.
Panned out, we'd had a reasonable start to the season. I think we'd won 1, drew 1, lost 1. I think.
Yeah, we lost the game at home to Forest. Yeah, Brian Roy. I remember that game because at the end of the game, not right at the end of the game, probably half an hour later, I was still hanging around and sort of bumped into John Lyle, and he was there, and so I went up to him and I thought, I'm going to be brave enough, and I went, Mr. Lyle, I'm a bit concerned about the team, this season.
Yeah.
And he said, you know what? And then suddenly a few people came around. He said, you know what? I don't like people who judge a 100-metre race over the first 10 yards. And then he walked off, and I was like, oh.
Your place, mate. Put you right in your place.
Yeah, but then he thought I wasn't in my place enough. So then he came back after about 4 steps and put his arm around me and went, and also he said, I drive a Mercedes Benz. He said, I bet you don't. And walked off.
Yeah, loves but you can't. Yeah, guy's got style.
I think I had a Ford Escort, and there's nothing to diss about that.
With probably some rust patches on it, probably.
Totally, yeah. Tottenham had just scored 6 away at Watford before they came to see us.
I think, and they also scored. I remember that very first game. I think they were away at Hillsborough, Sheffield Wednesday, and I think they won like 4-3, which is when the Klinsmann dive came about.
Yeah.
So they scored 10 in 2 previous games, almost probably.
Madness. I mean, when you speak to people about this game, there was 22,500 in there, so it was it was a sellout at the time for the ground, and people are kind of split between who was the most phenomenal or unplayable. Was it Dumitrescu or was it Klinsmann? And for me,
I remember that first half was Dumitrescu, just off the charts. Yeah,
he had 2 chances, and from memory, they were fairly close together in front of the North Stand as it was then. Took the ball. Tried to get past a couple of defenders, took it to the edge of the penalty area. First one just whizzed past Forrester's post. Second time, you're thinking, this is the same thing. Yeah, the bar was like shuddering in front of the North Stand. Yeah. So I think that was probably a sign of things to come. In the 14th minute, Spurs took the lead. Nick Barmby, playing for England at the time, lofted the pass to Sheringham. Was he playing for England at the time?
Probably just about to. So 94, 95, so 2 years before the Euro. So yeah, they'd been there or thereabouts. Yeah, Ben got that in as well. Yeah.
Drops over Sheringham. I think comes over his left shoulder. He finds himself in the penalty area, and you think he's going to have a shot. And really unselfishly, just rolls the ball, a simple pass into the centre, and Klinsmann sticks it in from about 10 yards. Forrest is well beaten.
Great player, Sheringham. Always rated Sheringham. Great player.
So that was 14 minutes, 1-0 up. And then bizarrely, we get to 28 minutes before they've scored the second goal. 1 minute, we're attacking towards the Churchman's end. Ball goes in the box. Can't remember who it goes in by. And suddenly it comes out. Defender clears it. Goes out to Klinsmann, who's on the right. And he's heading towards the North Stand. And he plays this sublime right-footed pass across the pitch. And then Dumitrescu comes over and just straight in. Forrest
I remember
gone.
It sort of goes in the roof of the net. Yeah.
Bullet header, I put.
Yeah.
Then we had a chance. Boncho, he fires in a long-range effort in front of the Churchmans, and Ian Walker does well. He gets across and saves that quite high.
See, there you go. Look, Churchmans.
Well, it was then.
True. Then.
Yeah, see, I'm being factually correct here.
Okay, taking it back.
I can't believe I caught you on that.
Back.
So at half time, we think we're going to get in 2-0, but 7 minutes to go. Klinsmann scores again. It's a corner in front of the North Stand. Can't remember, one of the Spurs defenders at the near post flicks it on. And Stuart Nethercott, yeah. And Klinsmann kind of, I think he does that sort of kick where he sort of studs it into the back of the net or some sort of kick. 3-0 at half time. Klinsmann's got other efforts in that half as well. I think he found himself one-on-one with Forrest on more than one occasion, and there's one thing that stands out. Forrest stood up well and didn't allow him to get past. Anderton hit the post, but I can't remember whether that was the first or second half. But at half time, we're 3-0 down, and talk about licking your wounds. I mean, that was just a horror show.
What I do remember, though, about the second half, and I can't remember, you'd tell me if they made subs. I can't really remember if they redo anyone at half time or if you had anyone of note to come on. But is that all of a sudden we sort of sussed them out a bit, really?
Yeah.
And had some chances. And well, you carry on.
Well, I put this game out on Twitter and on the Facebook Ipswich Town stats page and Blue Monday, and I got a few comments. But yeah, in the second half, I think you're right. We looked at it and thought, realistically, hang on a minute, we're not going to defend against this team. The only way that we're going to get anything out of it is to go for it. And I think, we did stumble across that. Kwamya, he scores the goal. The ball's in front of the North Stand. It's bouncing around a little bit, and the ball comes out, and the Spurs defender rushes out. But Paul Mason comes in, he's suddenly quick feet, and he sort of gets to it before the Spurs defender and plays a lovely pass.
Yeah.
Kawamia's probably on the penalty spot or whatever, and just passes it past the keeper, fires it low. But going back to a point, so it ends 3-1. Like I said, ask some comments on Twitter, and our friend Alistair at Olimar99 has given us a brief. It's only 280 characters. Alistair, you could have sent me more, but he's kept it down to this, where he said it was a watch behind your fingers game, which I think it totally was.
Yeah, good point.
Their front five were outstanding, ripped us apart, and it was a relief that we somehow managed to make the score respectable. I think that's a good point. When you go back and think 3-1, it sounds like we could have got tonked 8-0. It felt like we could have got tonked 8-0 in that game. But what he said was it took about another 2 weeks for everyone to work out that if you attack Spurs, they disintegrated. And I think that was their biggest issue.
Well, so much so that it couldn't last, and our D-Les was gone by November, I guess, December. Yeah. Jerry Francis, I think, took over.
I think, when you saw Ozzy's knees go all trembly, then you knew that something was going to happen.
They were great to watch, though. I mean, entertainment. I mean, what until I did a little bit of digging today on the player, I didn't realise that Klinsmann only had one season.
Yeah.
One season at Spurs. That was it. He scored he must have scored 20-odd goals, I'm sure. But you seem to think he must have played more than one season, but he never. He went off to, I think he went off to Bayern Munich then.
A couple of comments that I picked up. Thank you for everybody who sent comments about the game. There were loads of them, lots of them talking about the front five of Spurs, but two kind of caught my eye. Illinois Blue, Ian, he said after the game he got punched in the face by a Spurs fan.
Oh, that is adding insult to injury, really, isn't it? Or is it injury to insult? I'm not sure.
Yeah, probably injury to insult, yeah. Apparently the Spurs fan took offence that Ian was claiming that the Tottenham players were cheating and diving. And certainly around that time, Klinsmann, when he came, he had a reputation to be a diver, but I can't...
Just a bit, yeah.
And as he's put at the end, those were the days. I like that. John Bug on Facebook, and I didn't catch a train, so I probably didn't know that, but there was a train strike that day. So the train stopped running at midday. I don't know what happens when you're on the train at midday. You just have to sit there until it started running again.
Just sit there, yeah.
So he had to get up to Ipswich early from wherever he was coming from. So he went into the Black Adder, and he had what he described as an afternoon with Alan Brazil, which was great. He used to love the Black Adder.
Yeah.
And I think basically Alan Brazil has moved what he used to do in the Black Adder on a match day to Talk Sports breakfast show now.
Oh, I think he pretty much has, hasn't he? Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that was it. So like I said, loads of comments about how fantastic Klinsmann and Dumitrescu were, but I think you and I probably would say Dumitrescu was the star of the night.
On the night, and again, I'm not even sure if he lasted more than a year at Spurs. Someone will know that. Correct me there, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure he did. I mean, obviously Anderton. I think Anderton played for a little bit more. Certainly Sheringham must have played for another couple of 3 seasons. We're in 98 before he went to Man U, I guess. But yeah, good side, lovely to watch. But yeah, alas, it couldn't. Because I mean, when you look, other than that front five, when you then sort of look at the rest of the team and dissect the rest of that team, it's fairly old. Kerslake, Nethercott, okay, Sol Campbell, all right. But it's they are a team that are right to be got at, aren't they?
Oh, totally.
And they were.
I don't know where they finished that season, but I'm guessing higher than us.
Spurs, I reckon, finished certainly top 10, maybe. I think they did quite well. Maybe, I don't know. I reckon top 10. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, certainly higher than us. Yeah. 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 I'm just trying to think.
You ready for the next game?
Go on, Stat. Where are we going?
Right. So it's a bank holiday Monday.
Yeah.
30th of August. 1999, so it was a great season. 3 p.m. kickoff. George Burley obviously is the manager. It's a home game again. We're at home to Barnsley, who's managed by Harry Bassett.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So obviously, if you're a Town fan, you're not a great fan of Dave Bassett from his Sheffield United days. Town lined up. Norwich of the North. Yeah. Well, actually, before we get to that, since that game, we only played one other August Bank Holiday Monday match at home, which was in August 2004. So we've gone 14 matches without an August Bank Holiday game. Is that mainly because of international breaks now?
Yeah, I reckon, yeah. So, the international break always comes second weekend in September, doesn't it? So yeah, that must. I'd have thought so. Yeah.
So we're top.
Game. Yeah,
we're top before the game.
Yeah.
And if you read this team, you're gonna it's gonna bring a smile to your face. So Richard Wright, Fabian Wilness, Manu Tetis, whichever one you want to do.
That always brings a smile. Yeah.
John McGreal, Mark Venus, Jamie Clapham, Jermaine Wright, Matt Holland, Scoey, Jono, and Bam Bam. What a team!
And when you think about it, okay, we ultimately know what happens this season, how it ends, but that is 80% of the side that finishes fifth in the Premier League.
It's a great team.
Add Ryderson and Stewart, and that's it, isn't it?
Yeah. Incredible. Would you take any of those from that team and see if they'd fit into our current side?
I'd probably take them all. Yeah.
All of them?
Yeah. Who would you take?
Well, I was going to say Wright, but
seriously, what then?
Yeah, but then I saw the highlights from the Sheffield Wednesday game, so let's stick with Wright. I was just going to go.
That would be the only close one, but I've got in trouble with Richard Wright and goalkeepers and stuff, so I'm not going to commit on that. But
I think you're great. But if I had to pick one player, I'd go for Holland replacing Cole Skews.
Like you're doing it now, aren't you? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, Christ, I'll tell you, I thought was a really underrated player in during that period. All right, that was his first season, but Jermaine Wright, I thought was a really underrated player. And there was talk, if you remember, certainly the season next season of possible close to England. I think he genuinely was. He was a great player, wasn't he?
He was fantastic.
Anyway,
let's go on to the game. Jono was unplayable in this game, and in my opinion. Just go on and look at the highlights on YouTube, or if you've got the playoff winners DVD, watch that. Watch this game, and you will agree with me that David Johnson on his day was better than Marcus Stewart, without a doubt.
Yeah, there was. I mean, there was one goal. I don't know if did he score. He didn't score a hat trick in this game. I think
he scored
second
2
goal, which we'll get to. There's no way Stewart could score a goal like that.
No, never. So the first goal. I haven't got the goal times I've written down here. So just for the viewers to know, we've gone for a slightly different format for our notes, which will evolve over a period of time. Well, I've got a fag packet down here, Benson and Hedges. So the first goal was a float across from Wilness. Defender and the keeper both go up with it with Jono. And Jono is what 5'8".
Yeah, a spring, didn't he? No.
And just stuck it into the goal in front of the Churchmans. Second goal, corner comes across again in front. Obviously, it's still in the first half. Bounces around in Barnsley's penalty area, and a few shots that are kind of missed kicked, and there's a few clearances, and it comes out to Vino, who's about 8 yards out, and he just bangs it in.
Right-footed, I think, as well. I seem to remember the odd thing about that goal was it was with his right foot, I think.
Well, I'll have to go back and look at that. Good spot.
Lashes it.
And then the third goal is where Scoey finds the ball midway in Barnsley's half, and he does this lovely lofted pass, and Bam Bam runs on it. They kind of look for offside, and he does that sort of thing when you kind of header the ball down because you need to get it down on the ground because it's just to the angle that he's coming to. Takes it to the edge of the box, and as I've written down here, wham! Just lashes it in. 3-0 down, and if we look at some of the players that Barnsley had, I'm not surprised.
You're looking at have you got their team? How many of their team ultimately then played in the?
I haven't.
Oh, yeah.
I've got 4 names.
Go on.
But I'm going to go back to do my little bit again.
All right.
So it's not surprised that we were 3-0 up, because Barnsley's defence just parted, and they had Moses playing for them. That was it. The other 3 players that kind of stuck out were Craig Hignett, Mike Sheeran, and was it Georgie Christoph?
Yeah, he came on a sub, didn't he?
Yeah, he was there as well.
Sheeran definitely didn't play.
Sheeran did?
In the final, he didn't.
Oh, not in the final. Sorry, in this game, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're playing 2 little ducks now.
No, go on anyway.
Ben, he messed it up on Sunday, didn't he?
He screwed me over. But hey, look, screwed me over completely.
I couldn't believe that one. So we're 3-0 at half time. Second half, Fabian Wilness attacking the north stand, gets into the penalty area, puts it across, a Scully header, puts it 4-0. We come to the fifth goal, and like you say, this is just a phenomenal goal. I think it's either Wilness or Thetis on the right side. Just plays a little ball in. He's just on the halfway line, and he does this fancy little flick of the ball. Ball goes past the defender. He goes the other way, and then he runs the full length of the half of the pitch, takes it into the penalty area. He goes, beats one defender, beats another one. His touch kind of goes away from it a little bit. Keeper's there, and he just fires it into the back of the net.
It was an extremely similar goal to Connor Wickham against Sheffield United a few seasons ago.
Yeah, when we beat them 3-0.
Yeah, but
Sheffield United
exactly what you said.
Exactly what you said.
Stuart could not score a goal like that.
No,
he wouldn't have had the pace to score a goal like that.
No,
fantastic.
And you and I know that Marcus will often sort of text us and say, look, when's the history pod up, lads, and stuff like that. So Marcus knows this is a bit of banter. Yeah, but exactly. Jono was definitely the better player on his day. And then Barnsley got a goal. Wright made his first save in the 85th minute. So I just went back to check who the Barnsley manager was, and it wasn't Mick McCarthy. It was actually Dave Bassett. So they had their first shot on target in the 85th minute. He saved it, and he did quite well to save it, but the ball bounced back to a Barnsley player who I can't remember, McClare.
Let's say Craig Hignett.
Yeah, no, I think it was McCure or something like that. I can't remember his name. So that was 5-1. Right here, somebody pointed out on Twitter as correct, was, absolutely fuming. And I think, that showed the sort of character he was. And then the sixth goal, Jono still at it again. Great run and finds himself in the penalty area in front of the north stand. He plays it across to Majilton. He's near the penalty spot and he just basically passes it in with a bit of pace. 6-1.
Brilliant, man. Absolutely.
At the end of the game, following that game, Burley is named August Manager of the Month.
Yeah.
And, well, we all know what happened at that season. So we remained top with 13 points, won 4, drawn 1, and obviously lost none. And there was it was McClare. McClare scored Sean McClare, I think, scored for Barnsley. 18,037.
Oh, okay. But again, thinking back, that was not far off capacity. So that would be, when you think what the capacity was then, 18,000, that would be equivalent of what in the ground today, 25?
Yeah, 25, 26.
Do you know what I mean?
That's a good point.
Which, when we're recording this, worrying, well, not worrying, disappointingly, we don't look like we're going to get even for this coming Sunday, do we?
No, I mean, I think you were talking. You made a good point about the fact that the game's not on TV on Sunday, and you would hope that would add 1,000. But I'm sure, fans who, for whatever reason, decided that they didn't want to go over the last couple of the seasons, and you see the run that we've had.
Yeah, that's not going to.
If you look at the results, you're probably saying, well, they're bottom of the table. They've lost 3. They're hardly scoring. But what I would say, come down and watch them, because actually Town at the moment are playing some really good football, and I think as long as we stick with these players, we've signed George Graham today.
But I think on the sort of the opposite side of that, perhaps some people think, perhaps I will go down, but oh god, I can't face going down to see us lose to Norwich again. Do you know what I mean? That's another kick in the teeth. But look, let's gloss over that.
I don't think we're gonna I don't think we're gonna lose.
I don't think we will. I kind of think that it's a kind of ideal game for us to have, actually. Because it's if we win, it's how much goodwill are you going to get out of that? I mean, oh my god, yeah.
And if you lose, well, first of all, we used to lose, and I think you're right. I think it's better than if we played like Bolton and we lost 2-0 at home to Bolton.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, that'll be great. Look forward to that.
Haven't thrown this at you for a while, but do you know what the number 1 was on that day in August, which is the 30th of August, 1999? Now I do, because me and Mrs. Stat were in the initial throes of our relationship, and I think I remember dancing to this several times at Keith Brannigan's nightclub, which was on Cardinal
Keith Brannigan's nightclub.
Yeah, called Brannigan's He didn't want to give it.
You would have danced to it. You would have got up and danced. Although, could it
but let's be honest.
Claire would have got up and danced, and you would have danced with her.
When we say dance,
I'll tell you what was number one round
blokes,
about that time. But you wouldn't have danced to that.
I
Mambo number
5 by Lou Bega was number 1.
Get out of town, seriously.
Yeah, and I danced. So let's follow it up with what did that song knock off the charts?
What year? 99.
99. And yes, I did dance, but most blokes were
I don't
in
know. 99. I don't know, Spice Girls. Spice Girls. I don't know.
I'll give you 20% of a point for that because it was Jerry Halliwell.
Hey, not bad, not bad.
My Chico Latino. We shouldn't be surprised about your music knowledge. Remember, we went to the Dove quiz. Everybody had 6. We had 2.
We had 2, mate. We were there, weren't we?
Let's move on.
Where are we going next? I know where we're going next.
The last game that we're going to is back in 1961.
Crank up that stat machine. Crank it up.
I can see some smoke coming out your door behind you there. So that's probably what's happening there. We were away. Alf Ramsey was the manager. It was Division 1. And we were away to West Bromwich Albion, played at the Hawthorns. We just come off our first win of the season, which was a 6-2 home win over Burnley on Tuesday night.
Some people still say, obviously, of an age, and that was one of the greatest ever nights at Portman Road. That one.
Yeah, we might have to cover that. We didn't
I'm
cover
sure we will.
Did
we not? I don't, we'll have to, because I think Burnley. I know we're not talking about this game. I think they'd won the league a season or 2 before, and were a really, really good. Well, ultimately finished runners up, of course.
Yeah. Well, 200.
But anyway,
200 Town fans made the trip to the Hawthorns.
How many?
200.
Hardy soul. I would say 200 hardy souls.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
Definitely. Yeah. They would have come up. What road would they have come up then?
So it used to be the old A45, wasn't it? Must have been the old A45. Yeah. Which used to run out at St Neots or something like that. I remember obviously a bit older than you. Coach journeys up north in the late 70s, early 80s. Yeah.
Are we talking about Newport Pagnell sort of place?
Yes, we are probably. Yeah. That's more. I think that's M1 though. So yeah, you'd have just got on the M1 for Newport Pagnell probably. Yeah. Yeah,
for any of the Morrissey purists, Newport Pagnell was mentioned in one of his songs, so they'll probably get the little link there. One of the things, let's get it for the there'll be slower ball, and
this is Morrissey, not Smiths.
Oh, the Smiths. All right, okay, fine. We were 11th. There was 19,000 at the Hawthorns, and this is what I didn't realise until I found an old press cutting, and Town played in all red for the first time. It says for the first time in that colour, but I'm thinking, was it the first time we actually wore our away strip? When did away strips become important?
Well,
I've silenced you.
Well,
I don't know.
I assume we've always had a first and second strip, but I don't ever remember. That's a very good point. I can remember seeing old pictures back in early 60s, and we're playing in white away. Yeah. I'm sure I've seen us playing white. And then obviously as the decade went on, and I know we're talking about kits now, early 70s, it was the old yellow, and yellow with a blue bit in collar and stuff. But no, all red. I mean, have we ever played an all red since? All red, probably not, have we?
Yeah, didn't we have a red kit in McCarthy's era, sort of red and with a bit of black? I remember we beat Brighton at the Amex, scored 2-0. I keep thinking we had a red kit then.
Possibly Johnny Williams. Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
Tommy Smith, or whatever. Yeah.
Anyway,
so we played in red, and reading the match report, I'm not going to go through it all, but basically we were under the cosh from the off.
Oh, yeah.
Totally. They were throwing everything at us.
Foot.
Yeah. Let's get all of the kitchen sink was being thrown at us. Like you say, we were on the back foot. We were defending behind the ball. So basically, the only chances we had were The report from 1961 didn't say counter-attack. It basically kind of talked about the fact that we just booted the ball a long way up the pitch and managed to find the ball. So, it was one of those sort of long ball efforts that were coming out. And despite being under pressure, we took the lead in the 21st minute. Doug Moran scored. Baxter ran down the right, and from the halfway line, he launches one into the box. My words, that wasn't in the report. And Crawford just basically heads it back across the box, and Moran is there for a simple header. Yeah. So we're 1-0 up after 21 minutes, and then basically it goes back to the fact that we are then defending for our lives again. The baggies are on top of us, but 42 minutes we go 2-0 up again on the counter. It's a great solo effort from Crawford, and once he's got into the box, he looks like he's going to centre it, but then he decides, no, I'm not going to centre it. I'm just going to lash it in. So lashes it in. 2-0
on a par with Caden Jackson at Exeter, clearly.
Yes.
That sort of, gave the keeper the eyes. And well, you wouldn't call Caden Jackson's a lash, would you? Probably.
No, and you're probably the first person to liken Caden Jackson to Ray Crawford. I mean, I don't know on his day. We'll have to see that.
So I'm sure Caden Jackson's going to come good and score 33 league goals this year. Don't worry.
So I went on to, I think you're right. I went on to Sky Sports and had a look at some of their old footage and stuff like that. And they had Martin Tyler and Andy Gray there. And they were just shocked about the fact that West Brom had 80% possession in that half and found themselves 2-0 down. I think the faithful at the Hawthorn certainly were booing and slow hand clapping their team as they went off.
Just quickly, did Bobby Robson play in that game?
Oh, I missed that. Yeah. Let me go through the teams.
No, I just... Yeah.
No, you're right. I should have done that. I jumped so quickly that it was 1961. I thought So, the Ipswich team was Roy Bailey, Carberry, Compton. I think John Compton came in, had a great game here for Town at left back. Baxter, Nelson, Ellsworthy, Stevenson, Moran, Crawford, Phillips, and Grant Leadbitter. Notable players.
Team didn't change all season. Team barely changed all season. So
exactly. Notable players for West Brom were Jock Wallace.
Oh, Colchester manager. Yeah.
Yeah. Don Howe.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. And Bobby Robson.
Now, West Brom that season also had a guy up front called. So Crawford finished Division 1 leading goal scorer, 33 league goals. But West Brom had a guy called Derek Kevin who played centre forward for them, who was actually shared it with him. So he wasn't the leading goal scorer outright. Their centre forward, Derek Kevin. I'm sure that's what his name was. Yeah,
Kevin spelled with an A.
I think so, not Kevin. Yeah, Kevan. Yeah. Who I think had and did go on or had played for England as well. Probably a few more times than Crawford did actually. But yeah, I think West Brom were again a half decent side, and I think I'm right in saying that was our first away win.
Well, we're only 2-0 up. We're only 2-0 up at half time.
That's the way it goes.
Who sees? But who knows? Because what happens is that West Brom come out in the second half and continue to throw the kitchen sink at us. And Alec Jackson gets one back for them in the 62nd minute. But we're basically, I don't know whether we're able to ride the storm, but we're certainly keeping them at bay. And Moran is a great volley. That West Brom's defence clear. It falls to him. He volleys it in 3-1 on the 88th minute. We win 3-1. We move up to 9th. So it was game 5. We'd won 2, drawn 1 and lost 2. But this would be our second win in a consecutive run of 5 wins.
Yeah, I think that's when people really started to. Well, I think the Burnley, as we said before, the Burnley result, from what you read and stuff about it, that was when people really started to sit up and take notice. And certainly coming off the end of that run, they certainly did. I mean, it's just incredible, really. We're probably on a par with. Yeah, I'm probably on a par with Leicester almost. I mean, I know people made that comparison a couple of years back, but yeah, it probably is.
So I haven't got a number 1 for that one. I don't know. Did they have the charts back in 1961? What were you dancing to? They
certainly did. I wasn't. I was dancing in my mum's tummy at the time, probably. That doesn't sound bad, does it? I don't know.
We'll keep that in.
Yeah, well, no, I was actually. When was I born? So this was. Hang on, wait a minute. I was born July 1962. What was the date of this game?
September
Oh,
61.
no, oh no, September. No, a little bit of time ago. No, I said my poor old dad, God bless him, could have been celebrating our first away win. But but no,
Let's move on.
That was a few weeks. That was a few weeks away. But what an incredible, what an incredible story. You know, we all read the books and stuff about it, and you know, it's stuff of Ipswich folklore, isn't it? Incredible, really.
It is.
Amazing.
So we've got 3 birthdays to finish up on.
Yeah, who we got?
So we've got Ainsley Maitland-Niles, obviously got to mention earlier. He's 21 on the 29th of August.
Yeah.
Played for us in 2015 to 16, 23 starts, 9 substitutes, 2 goals, came on loan from Arsenal.
And he's been getting games at like, I'm not sure he is now because Arsenal have sort of got, obviously players in over the summer and stuff, but I'm sure he started one game this season. I've seen him a league game. Starting at like left back, he's been playing.
Yeah, didn't he get injured in that game? I think.
I
think he was playing and he was playing right back as well. But
he
obviously
certainly played. Yeah, he certainly played full back, and some of the sort of lesser European games they're involved with Europa. I guess were they in Europa League last year? I can't remember.
I wouldn't mind taking him back now.
Yeah, with that bit of experience under his belt, absolutely. It was a bit. From memory, he always showed great promise, always a great pace and a bit tricky. But yeah, you could tell he was very, very sort of young.
Yeah, a bit slight as well, and scored a great goal away at Portsmouth in the FA Cup third round replay, and also famous for the fact that his mum left abusive voicemail messages on Mick McCarthy's phone because he wouldn't let him go somewhere.
Sure, it wasn't you impersonating Ainsley Maitland-Niles' mum. Are you sure?
Well, Mrs. Stat did say to me, she said, "Oh, you're not starting that history pod off again." She said, "Look, just a few pointers. Don't do impressions of anybody." So I've got to apologise for anybody from Newcastle or Wales.
Oh, awful one last year. Which was the worst one? There was one awful one last year. It was Scottish. It was dreadful, wasn't it? Absolutely.
Pick that one out. That's what he said.
Pick that one out. Take a boo.
Take a boo, son. And I've been practicing that over the summer. So our next birthday, Jonas Axeldal will be 48. Yeah, 48.
How is he going to be?
48.
Is he?
On the 2nd of September.
Some would say he played like a 48-year-old when he was here, to be fair. Well, but he just needed a goal, Jonas, did he? He was bloody unlucky, I seem to remember.
Yeah, I mean, he guested for us in a pre-season tour of Sweden, in Sweden. Came over on trial and signed a 1-year contract. August 99, he made his debut, and he left at the end of June 2000. So that season, although
he was in that squad, when he was in and around that squad, wasn't he?
Yeah, but he last appeared in January, so he kind of petered out before we got to
out of that squad.
Which
I assume January was possibly a cup game, was it? I don't know. No, I can't remember.
But anyway, he was Swedish. He made 1 start, 19 substitute appearances, but he topped the Avon Insurance Combination League goal scoring charts that season with 20 goals.
He was prolific.
Had it in him. And he was released, went to Cambridge. I think he picked up a knee injury there, and that basically hampered him throughout the rest of his career. Yeah,
he was one of those players like we said when we were speaking to Jono last year, that he just needed a goal. He needed a goal, and he'd have probably got his confidence up and not probably got a run in front of Johnson and Scowcroft, but would have been more confident perhaps coming on and fancied himself to score.
So our last birthday.
Go on. Shuffle bottom.
It's always very funny if you type in Paul Mason and Ipswich, because Paul Mason was Britain's fattest man who lived in Ipswich. So Paul Mason, Britain's fattest man, will be 37. No, Paul Mason, the footballer, is 55 on the 3rd of September. The Liverpudlian, 121 starts, 14 subs, 36 goals. He did weigh in with a fair number of goals.
Midfield,
Played for us for 93 to 98. But before that, there was a bit of an interesting story. So he played for Liverpool schoolboys until he was 16.
Yeah.
And then he was released, and then he signed for his boyhood club Everton.
That's right.
But he broke his leg when he was 18, and basically thought his footballing career was over. His brother was over in Holland.
Oh, so what? Started eating? Let's go on.
Yeah, he started eating, and just didn't stop. Didn't stop. Another chicken wing, man. And his brother was doing some work. Had gone over to Holland, was doing some work. So he said, "Well, why don't you come over here and do some labouring work in Holland?" So he joined his brother, and then obviously he then thought, "Well, I'll play some amateur football."
Local,
so he joined a local
semi-pro
team,
or whatever. Yeah.
And Groningen had some scouts at one of the games and spotted him and thought, "Well, he's a talented player." And so they signed him for him. And in fact, he was so talented that Paul Mason was voted, and I've got to read this so I don't get it wrong, was voted in Marco van Basten's dream team for up-and-coming players in Holland.
There you go. Bloody hell. That's incredible. So where did we get him from, though?
Well, then he went to Aberdeen.
Aberdeen, that's right.
Yeah. And I think he played in the 89 League Cup final. I think he might have scored 2 in the League Cup final over Rangers.
He had a goal in him, didn't he? I mean, he had a goal in him. I remember. Did he score? He scored a great goal in the game against Man U, didn't he? The 3-2 win that season. Corker
he had
cut
a cultured
left
foot. Yeah, scored on his debut as well.
And the famous one was the one at Blackburn in the cup, of course.
Oh.
Thundered it in, didn't he?
We did that last season in the third round replay.
We did, yeah. Yeah, good player. Yeah, really knew where the goal was. Did he not come same week as Ian Marshall, pretty much?
Yeah, I think he signed a few. I think Ian Marshall signed about five days before kick-off, but he was a bit before. But yeah, they both scored on their debut at Boundary Park. Do you know what he's doing now?
Well, I know he had a gastric band at one time. I'm not sure what he's doing now. What's he up to? What's he up to now, old Paul?
He's at a spinning class. No, he runs a guest house.
Oh, great stuff. What? Yeah. Well, up in Merseyside, or is he going? Is he going back up?
I don't know. There's only so much you can believe off Wikipedia. But yeah, he runs a guest house, and he's apparently very keen on clearing up the plates after people's meals to see if there's any scraps, so he can just put on the calories. So that brings us to the end of Pod 1 of Season 2.
That is absolutely superb stat. Now, enjoyed that, mate. Now, I forgot how much I enjoyed doing those. They're good fun. I know you put a hell of a lot of work into it, mate. No, very, very good. So, I don't even know if I can remember all this season because there's so much going on. So, someone will be with Harry from Bath, the brilliant Harry from Bath, on the preview show, on the big preview show this Friday. Some of us,
Ipswich, won't it? It'll be Ipswich will be presenting.
I guess Ipswich, Ipswich.
Doing a great job at that.
Oh yeah, no, it's good. Yeah, very good. Yeah, Harry's just absolutely amazing, and I've got to put it out to Harry. We must get him on this show. We've got to get him on this show. Oh, for goodness' sake!
Although you know what Harry would do? Harry would say, "Well, actually, I've got my notes from when I went round the pubs of West Brom in 1961, and he was sitting there at the bar and just listening to what fans were saying and making little notes and stuff."
Yeah,
let's get him on. Come on, Harry.
Oh, we've got to. That would be absolutely brilliant. That would be superb. So, and some of us, again, not quite sure who, will be back, no doubt, with Ben for the flagship show on Monday, which obviously is a big. I think, as of now, I think today Ben was doing the Norwich thing that he did last year, the Talk Norwich City podcast. I think he's recording that. Yeah. So look out for that. That had great fun, great banter on that last.
Have they got the annoying Chris on there as well?
I'm not sure he's going to be appearing. I'm not sure. But Ben wasn't sure about that. As I said to Ben, I think Ben may have seen him off, but I'm not sure. And then we'll obviously be back this time next week to talk about. So to go through more nostalgia and talk about some more great games of the past, Stat. You can reach Stat on
at ChompX3.
You can reach me at David Diamond 3. So until next week, goodbye.
Bye.